director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health, heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in and join in. Today, it is Friday. It will be a get 'em up out of town version of the show in its most traditional sense. You can glom onto this thing and take control of it. We can move this discussion anywhere you'd like to take it. Of course, I always have some things to bring to you, and I'll line them up and I'll bring them one at a time. Anywhere along the way, if you get a mind to either bring a question or a comment or anything you'd like to speak about at all, that's what we do here on Friday Get 'em Up Out of Town versions of the show. As we move into a midweek, I think was it the Pro Bowl this week? Super Bowl next week. And it's backwards this year. It's the Pro Bowl this weekend. And it's going to seem weird not having any of the best players out there. But you'll find something to do with your weekend until Sunday evening comes around. And, of course, we always have next week, the crazy week, the Super Bowl week, and another number 7 coming around the corner, if you know what I mean. The lineup. Let's talk about the lineup as we move through, and this is truly a get 'em up out of town version of the show. We do have the 31st of January peering at us for a Monday, yes. However, we are turning the page real rapidly on the month of January 2011. We are rapidly moving toward February of that same year. Looking off into the future now, who do we have for you? Well, on the 9th, we're going to have Dr. Susan Smith-Jones going to be returning with, she claimed, a very timely topic, talking about natural libido-boosting remedies. I'm all ears, especially when she's talking, and she calls it her Valentine's Day gift to you all out there. So I'll be waiting, and I'll have my pen in my hand. Will you have your pen in yours? Then on the 16th, Doug Inglesby returns. Now, Doug has been with us before. He is one of the initial entrants. His company, actually his father's company, was one of the original, if not the original, high-potency vitamin company dating back to the 1960s. And the Adele Davises and the Yule Gibbons and that Wild Hickory Nuts, and you remember all that. You'll remember all the people who were the people that gave testimony to eating healthy. Well, Doug's dad knew them all. He knew them too. He was a child then. He now runs the company. He'll be with us as our guest on the 16th, talking in particular about, he calls them the flavor makers. He's referring to the pharmaceutical industry trying to make everything taste so good, I guess. We'll hear his perspective and his take on that on the 16th. Then, in the following week, we're going to spend some time talking about, in particular, the subject of diabetes. Some of you are peripherally joined with this topic. Others are directly joined. Nonetheless, it's something we can all benefit from. Alan Ridgway, who has been one of our guests in the past, is going to be returning with us. If you are a diabetic or you know one, you should have them listen to the show because really, in the case of a diabetic, you absolutely need to know what's out there, what's available, and what's new in taking care of your condition. Alan Ridgway comes to my office frequently. He's the guy, by the way, who offers up the specially custom-made diabetic shoes that all insurances pick up and cover, and he'll help you get. They're really expensive too. Try to buy these on your own. It gets a little outlandish, but entitled, each diabetic is entitled to one pair of shoes per year, along with shoe inserts for their other non-custom-made shoes. Alan Woodray returns to talk about it, as well as a whole bunch of other new products discovered, launched, produced, manufactured in the year 2010 and up and coming for the year 2011. That'll be on the 21st. Then on the 23rd, in a similar way, but not necessarily head-on and direct with diabetes, wounds and the healing of wounds. You get a cut, you go to your medicine cabinet and you get a Band-Aid usually. The diabetic gets that same Band-Aid and then remains panicked. And I mean panicked, because especially with wounds to the distal extremities, talking about the hands and the feet, these wounds are very precarious, very difficult to heal because of the microcirculation to these regions of the body severely diminished in the well-established diabetic. Well, wounds need to have their special attention, and especially if you're a diabetic. But whether you are one or not, you're going to want to hear about this RTD dressing that you apply to a wound that literally, I've had it described to me as like a sponge that just sucks out all the bacteria and retains that bacteria in the dressing itself, which then gets discarded. Anyway, that's as much as I know about it now, but Kurt Domkowski is going to be our guest on the 23rd talking about these RTD dressings. I hope you'll be aboard. Trace Minerals are in, folks. We've had a number of shows now, a couple of them, with Darren Starkey here, and I think Darren represents a gap, a hole in, I'm going to claim, certainly in my way of prescribing supplementation in the past, micro minerals, better said trace ionic minerals, are an absolute must if you're ever going to be able to conquer the issue of having the body work at full efficiency. You can't have the body work at full efficiency unless you've met your microscopic micro mineral ionic obligation, and you can't do it unless you've got a source to be able to get these. The form that I usually find, and if you'll dip the back of the label of your vitamins and minerals, these are macro minerals. If there are micro minerals there, there's only a small amount, not the representative 72, upwards of beyond 72 of the traces. You have enzyme systems in your body that might require one molecule of molybdenum. Now, I know it's tough to say that word, molybdenum, but I'll tell you what, if you're the enzyme system and you need it, and you don't have it, then the body's always attempt to do a workaround is successful for a while, but then finally the system just shuts down. Anyway, think about the number of trace minerals that the body requires, and you're not supplying them. And if you are supplying them, it's got to be in a dissociable, I think it's better said, dissociable, assimilable form. And I'm asking you to come along with me and see the light. I kept using the phrase, seeing the light. I think it's safe to say the company, Trace Mineral Research, utilizes that phrase in its DVD. I ask you to dial up the website at tracemineral.com, and on the right-hand side of the opening page, you'll see the icon marked videos. Click on that, and you'll be able to observe literally within a moment or two what I've been claiming that you want to see once you get the visual. All the words in the world are helpful, yes, but these visuals of how effectively trace minerals add to the biochemistry of the body will just be a visual that you will never forget. And it has to do with pHs too. We sort of all know that the alkaline side of the pH scale is where we want to move to, yet we are all so acidic. When you see that insisting you in getting to alkalinity is a factor, a benefactor via the trace minerals, ionic minerals, you will become converted, I hope. We've got 3 different products here in the office now. We've got 2 versions of the liquid, a 4-ounce, which you'll probably want maybe as a starter to get it kicked off, but much more economical because dollar-wise it's really not even comparable proportionally. The 8-ounce size is probably what you should get because it is so economical. You start at 10 drops a day, and in about a week, work yourself up to 40 drops a day. Those of you that don't want to count drops, and by the way, I'm going to raise my hand. I don't know if I want to count 40 drops every day. I think, no, I'm not going to do it. Anyway, they have a pill version of the ionic minerals, and as I had explained to me by Dr. Starkey, when you watch these visual experiments with the liquid, literally it's instantaneous. They put a drop of the substance in whatever experiment they're doing, and at that moment, with one drop, things start to happen. The light bulb goes on, the pH switches, the TDS, which is total dissolved solute, amounts tremendously increase, all with one drop. So I said, hey, what about the pill? I mean, that doesn't happen in an instant, does it? He goes, no, it does not. We're sorry to report that it takes 30 seconds for the tablet to do what the minerals, the liquid minerals did instantaneously. I think I can wait the 30 seconds for the kaboom. Anyway, those are the three forms of the product that we have here. Give us a call. We'll send it out to you. Give Kim a call. She'll be starting at 9 o'clock. Our number, 724-942-3002. 724-942-3002. Now, also, Peter DeWitt, our guest of the other day, I think, in my mind, hit a home run when he talked about his heal thyself approach to treating a pretty serious disease, which I think he has proven why it is that you look at all disease as a blessing. And so he made the case for why cancer is a blessing, because it's your body's attempt to rescue you from grievous assault. And now you need to know that you can conquer it. I believe he made that case for that. And I want you to pay attention too, because besides the emotional component or the conflict component, which I believe he makes a new entry into this treatment program, if you remember what he said, you always make sure you have a component of is a dosage of high dose intravenous vitamin C. By the way, it's going to come up in just a second with a related issue on vitamin C, and you'll be wanting to stay tuned for that. Now, I watched the presidential State of the Union address, and there was a little phrase that was made mention of by President Obama when he talked about something that he referred to as the Sputnik moment, making a claim that dating back as far as the late 50s, wasn't the Sputnik the one that had the dog in it? If I remember correctly, I don't know if I'm right about this, but I remember a dog. Yes, I was alive. Yes, I was alive enough to have awareness of the time and the actual Sputnik satellite. So I'll make many of you feel better about that. For those of you who were around, take my word for it. It was an interesting time. But this Sputnik moment was introduced by President Obama, saying that's where we are now, folks. That we're on the cusp of moving into another era of the high tech, extremely sophisticated, miraculous, and explosive scientific discoveries that'll move us off into another Sputnik, space era is what the Sputnik thing was all about. Now, taking the Obama phrase, Sputnik moment, I want to tell you that I think that we are in store for what I'm going to refer to as here at WKHB and certainly here at the office, there is a Sputnik moment coming to bear upon us, and it's going to happen within the month. I just spent a day yesterday with a gentleman representing some technology, which I believe is the kind of technology, the kind of Sputnik moment that President Obama had in mind for the entire country. Well, I'm going to tell you, from a medical parlance, I look at this as the Sputnik moment for you to be able to participate in when it comes to something I'm pretty comfortable with, which is cardiovascular disease. Boy, do we ever talk about it a lot here. But, I think it scares a lot of folks out there because there's so much that has come to us in an invasive package, like to really know about your cardiovascular status, automatically, I think, one thinks about things like angiography, catheterization, angioplasty, stents, and it certainly is something that's promulgated by the conventional medical community as this is the way we do it, folks. This is the way it's done, and who in the heck wants to have a cardiac catheterization to find out what their cardiac status is? I believe I can envision how a person would say, geez, I wonder what the status of my cardiovascular system is, but I sure as heck don't want to have one of those, meaning a cath, angiogram and the like, to find it out. Well, let me tell you, the Sputnik moment has arrived. You can find out about your exact, I think this is just phenomenal, your exact cardiovascular status by the technology that is now available, just coming to our area. It's been in other parts of the country. I certainly didn't hear about it, but as I normally pride myself in, I've gone out and found it, and we're bringing it to you. I'm going to ask you to circle a couple of dates, folks. On February 11th, we're going to have a gentleman by the name of Jerry Singleton with us, representing something called MCG. I won't give anything away. I'm just telling you that I believe MCG is the medical Sputnik moment with respect to cardiovascular disease, whereby you can learn the status of your cardiovascular stage of life without any of that crazy catheterization and any of the other invasive by a 7-minute, you're completely clothed, you're completely dressed, a 7-minute study done right here in the office that's completely covered by all insurances. You don't want to miss your opportunity. I'll tell you that we're going to start putting a schedule together. If you want to start taking, if you're intrigued enough to want to know, I promise you that by the time the 24th of February comes around, which is going to be the day that we actually do these studies in the office, you may want to call up for a slot. They're going to be essentially every 15 minutes, and we'll have the entire day to have these studies done in my office. First time in the Western Pennsylvania area. You want to be a part of it? You can learn an awful lot about yourself for something that really completely insurance covered. It won't cost you a dime. One-of-a-kind study. Only one company has a device. There are actually 5 devices in the entire Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, Northern West Virginia area. There are 5. And I know where all 5 are. Well, the 6th one will be coming here. The Sputnik moment has arrived. You want to be a part of it? Stay tuned. We're going to bring him on our show on the 11th and the 18th, talking about Jerry Singleton. And on the 24th, he's going to come and spend all day with us. If you have a mind to come to visit us, to spend 15 minutes to get that test done, completely innocuous. You're fully clothed. Well, you do have to take your shoes and socks off. Hope you don't feel threatened by that. Taking your shoes and socks off alone in 7 minutes, it's over. And we have the report by the end of the day. It is outstanding. The Sputnik moment has arrived. Become a part of it. Hope you enjoy the titillation that I've just offered you, and more on this subject with each passing show that we do. There it is. All right. Let's do this. Folks, it is a Friday version of the show. It is a get 'em up, out of town version. We let you, if you have a mind to, come on and set the agenda. I got some things I can share with you. I'll be waiting for a knock on the door, and as soon as you do, give it a knock. I'll let you on in. We'll find out what's on your mind. Be back in a moment, listening for the knock.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dentist J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith. Let Fruit of the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Here on this Friday, get 'em up out of town version of the show where we invite you, if you got a mind to give us a call and set the agenda as you would like to have it, based in the form of a question or a comment. It's okay with me. Either one will do. The number to do that, well, you know that number, but have it jotted down just in case. 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. I'll be waiting to hear that knock on the door. One of the first things I want to do, tick off, because things build up over the week, so you got to forgive me, folks. Sometimes I get a little out of sequence because with the scheduled guests that I have, I just don't have the time to cover any one of these topics at the moment it comes up. Looking at the timeliness, I think will still be appropriate with bringing this one up. If you haven't noticed, and we did mention a couple of times already, the issue of vaccines is in the air, and I mean much more than just in the air. There is an all-out assault. Don't think for one moment that this flurry of activity is just haphazard, that it's happenstance, that it isn't what I believe to be a complete all-out assault by the pharmaceutical industry to nail, crucify, and obliterate this issue that there's harm in vaccines. This all started, because I believe it was out of the clear blue sky, a few weeks ago with the pillaging and public crucifixion of Andrew Wakefield. Of course, he was the British scientist, a gastroenterologist, a pediatric gastroenterologist who, back in 1998, did a study on 12 kids. These 12 kids, according to what I read then, and I do recall with clarity, these 12 kids all had a diagnosis of autism made by whoever it was that made them at the time. They have all various doctors. They weren't all the same doctor. But when he did colonoscopies on these children, he found that in all 12 of these kids, there was a distinct lesion that could be visualized in the intestinal wall, the wall of the colon, in all 12. To find that there was a suspicious lesion was certainly alarming, but this was not pathognomonic for anything. These lesions were just lymphoid tissue that was hypertrophied, that was definitely larger in size than it should be, and although the lesions, and I can recall actually seeing the lesions from the visuals that were presented at the time, you could, if you're a gastroenterologist and you're doing a colonoscopy, you couldn't miss these things because they were huge. Well, according to Wakefield, he took a swab of these lesions and he cultured them. And what grew, according to the study at the time, what grew was a virus. And the virus was a measles virus. But not measles as in the disease. Measles as in the virus that's used in the vaccine that's made to protect you from measles. And that was the study in a nutshell of what Andrew Wakefield revealed back in 1998. I remember when he made the circuit around the country. I remember when he was actually here in Pittsburgh, brought here by a group of those parents who have an organization for those parents who have autistic children, and the rest of his research study group that was out of a group in Florida, if I remember correctly. Anyway, years went by. This was something published in the British Journal of Medicine, but a few weeks ago, after not having enough of his flesh, after really sacrificing him multiple times, the ultimate slice came when he was accused, actually, of fraud, and that his entire study was disavowed by the British Journal. And so I saw that. I don't know Andrew Wakefield like the pal, but I do know Andrew Wakefield the scientist, and it seemed that that study upset so many people, because if that's true, then there is truly an objective form of this. There's an objective way to evaluate how vaccines can be harmful. Okay, well that started it going. I've recounted now the Wakefield study, but since a few weeks ago when Dr. Wakefield was assaulted with the final insult of being declared a fraud, and all of his previous supporters ran away. They have been scared to death that they are going to be incriminated as Andrew was. I'm sure of it. And even the original co-signers onto the study have now abandoned Dr. Wakefield and will not even admit and have signed off, I guess is better said, have signed off their participation in that study, essentially disavowing it. Okay. Well, last Sunday, talking about the time is now, one of the last salvos, I don't believe it's over. I believe we're just in the middle of it. There are going to be more articles, but the one last week caught my eye because it was on the front page of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Anytime this issue comes up, the pharmaceutical industry has such sway with the print media that it gets front page coverage. And this was on the front page talking about the case for vaccinations. This particular study or this particular article was talking about doctors and patients fighting against the anti-vaccine movement. Now, I believe I must be part of that anti-vaccine movement because I certainly have a lot of negative impressions and certainly walk the walk and talk the talk when it comes to my own family and my own children with respect to not vaccinating them. But it's just another salvo. As I read the article, and I'm not going to go too much into it other than to say that you're finding that the medical industry, the pediatricians, at least there was one group here in the city who boasting the fact that they will no longer allow their parents of their kiddies to make the decision not to vaccinate. They say that they're going to allow them to spread out the vaccines, but that by a certain date, if they're going to be treated by those doctors, they're not going to allow parents to set the agenda for that child. They're going to have to meet their demands. Wouldn't you know it, as onerous as they can be. But there are pediatricians out there that will tell you that don't feel that way. Of course, you're not going to read about that. I will say that there's one study that could put this all to rest. I say this in knowing that you're never going to see that study done. Now, I thought that in the early 90s, or was it mid-90s? The mid-90s, I guess, the pharmaceutical industry took a risk. They didn't know what the outcome was going to be, so to the extent that I don't think they could have known, at least I'll tip my hat to them, because do you remember the time when they actually removed the mercury from vaccines, or at least made it possible that you could request a non-mercury solution of the vaccine? You could get it in the mercury form and the non-mercury form. The mercury, of course, is used as a preservative. I said at the time, and now I have to actually go along with what I said because I'm a person of science, and I have to go with the science. And I said at the time, look, we're going to know in the not too distant future whether or not this mercury has played a role in provoking what was rumored to be the provocateur of autism. There was a whole body of parents out there that felt that it was the mercury in the vaccines that was the problem. I myself could have considered that I'd be in that camp back then. But I made the statement, and I have to go along with what the reasoning was and how it is that I arrived to where I am today. I said, folks, we're going to know soon. There's a group of kids that are not getting mercury in the vaccines anymore, and so we should see in the up and coming years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and we are well beyond that now, that the rates of autism should change substantially if mercury was at the root cause. So here it is. Many years have passed. Certainly the 7 and 10 year mark has been surpassed. And what we know is this. There hasn't been one change at all with respect to kids who get mercury in the vaccines versus those that don't. And that's true. It really does not appear that mercury, although obviously I would say who in the heck would want that stuff injected into their child, certainly injected into themselves, but with respect to autism at least, it's apparent now that the mercury isn't playing a role, because if it were to have been playing a role, it would have revealed itself by diminished numbers of kids afflicted with autism, and the hard facts are there's been no change in the incidence of that disease. If anything, the trending of this disease moves forward, it moves onward, and evidently mercury is at its cause. Now, there is a study that could end it all, and the entire controversy. I'm a man of science. I'd have to go along with this study if it were ever done. And by the way, it would be so easy to do, it's almost embarrassing that the medical profession and league with the pharmaceutical profession hasn't taken them up. Or hasn't realized that this study would put this to rest. I think they know that it wouldn't, and that's why you're not going to see it. And that would be one simple thing. There's now plenty of kids. They say in the article I was looking at that here it is. One new study says that 1/5 of all families are now delaying recommended vaccines in their children, and in some pockets on the West Coast, 20 to 30% of the residents are unvaccinated. That is a tremendously large number. It's sitting right there. You got, in that one pocket of Florida, you got 30% of the kiddies who haven't been vaccinated. Now here's a study. This will put it all to rest. And that's why you're not going to see the study done. Why didn't somebody just do the computation? And by virtue of the correct way to, you would easily be able to find out who the kids were that weren't vaccinated just by going to the schools, right? Because the schools would have to have on record their vaccination schedule. And if there's no vaccination schedule there, then it's real easy to pick out which kids haven't been vaccinated. And all you need to do, which isn't going to get done, is to find out what's the experience of autism in the unvaccinated kids. We already know that in general, the number of afflicted children with autism now is 1 in 110. If you take what is believed to be the autism spectrum disorder spectrum, which includes ADD and ADHD, which according to the scientists now is nothing more than autism with less penetration and less drastic neurological consequence, but that it's all on the same spectrum. If you take ADD, ADHD, and autism as truly what it is, it's all autism, just different ways of expressing it, then the number of afflicted goes to 1 in 50. These numbers are staggering. You want to know what role vaccines play and you want to end this debate forever, go ahead and run the study. I'm going to contend nobody is going to do that study. It's too easy to do, and the results would be so revealing that I think the pharmaceutical industry will never conduct that study, because if it should turn out that there is a substantial difference, and I believe there will be, I really think there will be, that there's a substantial difference between the unvaccinated community with respect to autism and autistic spectrum disorders versus the vaccinated population and their incidence of the disease, that door will be nailed wide open, and you have now driven that wedge that they don't want to see. I'll give them credit. They took a chance back there when they pulled the mercury out. They didn't know, nor did I know, what the heck was going to happen when they did that. I think they know what's going to happen if they were ever to do the study that I just mentioned, because it would put this whole thing to rest. So parents, stick to your guns. I believe you're right. It's not the mercury. It's the virus itself. That's it. Hey, take a short break. Let me climb down off the hobby horse here. I'm going to climb down off of the horse. I'm going to take a short break. I allow you, by the way, come on, give us a knock on the door, see what's on your mind. You got a comment about vaccines? How about the Sputnik moment? Any questions, anything inquisitive going on out there? Give us a call, 412-865-6262. Be back in a moment.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to An Impact on Your Health here on this Friday morning Get 'em Up, Out of Town version of the show, where we ask you to give us a call, and you can step right up and set the agenda if you'd like to change it. 412-825-6262 is the number to do that, 412-825-6262. You knock on the door. I let you in the store, and we find out what's on your mind. I just did hear a knock on the door. Come on in. What is on your mind? Go right ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Courtney.
Yes.
This is Mr. McWilliams calling.
It's from the wonderful, you're Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Indiana. And you know what? Let me just say this, sir. I have a son who has recently matriculated to Indiana. In fact, he started last week.
Oh.
I'm going to come up and visit you. I'm going to get a picture taken. I want to see the operation you got up there. Are you located on the main drag of town?
No, in fact, I'm not in Indiana at all. I'm between Chicago or Fort City and Indiana.
Well, why did I think it was Indiana? Is it that you claim to be from Indiana so people will know where you're really from?
Indiana is where the health food store is that I went into to buy when I first discovered the mineral.
Ah, okay. So how far away from Indiana are you?
I'm about 20 miles from Indiana.
All right. Well, let's just say it's not the exact zip code, but I think we're closer to meeting one another than you might suspect.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. Hey, haven't you enjoyed hearing from Dr. Starkey these last couple of shows we did on the minerals?
Yes.
I thought it was a fascinating, the experimentation that Trace Minerals does with the light and the pH, they automatically just lock in a visual that is worth a zillion words, and I just can't recommend enough. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we did get our supply of the DVDs, so if you're requesting one, just give us a call here. We'll get a copy of the DVD out to you so that you can have your own copy. Show it around the neighborhood. I think it's really wise to see what's lacking in your supplement regime could maybe change the whole thing around. But go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
I don't want to steal your thunder. What's on your mind today?
That's okay. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on the autism issue.
Oh, go ahead.
There's an Amish community up near me.
Oh, yeah. I love this. I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Okay. And I'm friends with a gentleman that has a health food store in this community. He's an Amish man.
Wow.
And we talk a lot about different things, and everybody in the Amish community goes to him for some medical advice for what he can give. He's like me. He's just a lay person, but say an ailment, a cold, sore throat or something, I'll go in his health store and he'll give them something for it.
And the Amish do not vaccinate, do they?
You know where I'm going?
Oh, I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think you're smart to pick up on this. Go ahead. Take it away.
Yeah. And we talked about this autism thing, and I think I know a few people that have kids that's got autism. Everybody knows somebody that's got it, but I asked him about it, and all the Amish up there, they all know each other. And I said, how many cases of autism is there up here? He says there isn't any. There
isn't any. I remember hearing this statement made in the past. It slipped me a bit. What do you think? I think that study would be so revealing. It would put the whole, what it would do would completely reveal these vaccines for the problems they do cause. And that's why I claim, as easy as the study would be to do, I believe it could be very simple. You can get a team of people out there just to do interviews with doctors and school districts and communities like this. I think the answer comes back loud and clear, so loud and so clear that the pharmaceutical industry wants no part of it. They are not going to support with their money a study that will literally do them in.
Yeah.
You agree with me, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You always hear about scientific studies this and scientific studies that, but sometimes it's staring you in the face.
It's staring me in the face.
Yeah, I mean, how simple could it get?
It is so simple, and yet you're never going to see it. It probably just flies past many. Just give it a thought, just like you did. And in your own community where you live, which is now 20 miles away from Indiana, I got to put a fix on it. But nonetheless, it just made sense to ask that question within the Amish community. I remember it being asked before, and I remember the same results that you just verified with the group around you. We have an Amish community a little closer into Pittsburgh, and I've had many of those folks as patients of mine, really, and I remember asking the question, and they didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
They do not have this issue that comes up with them. So, no, it's too simple a study. It would be so revealing that the threat would be just one they could never come back from. If the study was done legitimately, it could only reveal what I think we already know for sure.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So look, next time I'm in your area, and I literally now mean your area, when the weather gets a little nicer, I'm going to venture off the 20 miles. I'm going to find you. I'm going to get a picture taken. I'll tell you what, I'll bring my son. to get his passport picture taken, all right?
Okay, well, I'll give you a portrait of you and him together. How's that?
That'll be wonderful, and I'm looking for the opportunity to meet you. And thanks so much, by the way, for your call-ins, your support. It was you, by the way, who, with the encouragement of a caller, I mean, you know her, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
said we ought to talk to him because he had his AFib corrected with this like in a day.
Yeah.
And then you did call in, and then this led to the Dr. Starkey hookups, and now we've done the shows, and now we are in the trace mineral research family. These minerals don't have an equal. I'm sure that they could, well, they probably have an equal, but unless you're substituting specifically with traces, your multiple, your whatevers are not able to handle this job. They will not do it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for the call in, and I think you're right on. Thanks for picking up. I knew where you were going with it the moment you opened your mouth. I hadn't thought about it in a while.
Okay.
All right, sir.
Okay, bye.
All right. There you have it. Of course. Go to the Amish community. Go to all the Amish communities. You know what? I don't think you're 5'1". Not one. Just my guess. Another knock on the door has occurred. Come on the store. Hello. What's on your mind? What can we do for you?
This is a relative.
This-
I'm in West Virginia.
Oh, I know this. This is my, well, folks, this is my brother-in-law lawyer. It's been a while since we've heard his voice. I'm glad to hear you're back. What are you out there doing this morning, Jim? What are you doing in West Virginia?
I'm doing justice for all.
As any good lawyer should, I'm going to keep it on a high plane today. We're not going to demean your profession
Thank you so much.
in any way. What's on your mind, James?
I'd like to ask you something. We're about the same age.
Yes, we are.
And I just went through, don't ask why, but really because I'm signing up for Medicare. But I just went through some old records of mine, and I noticed I got a smallpox vaccine. You probably did too.
Oh, I got the mark.
Vaccine.
Yeah, they don't give them
Probably
anymore.
did too.
Right.
Yes, there was no. I never even knew the word autism until I was well into my adult years.
I agree. Yes.
So my question is, what is there about the vaccines now that you think was different about the way vaccines were made or delivered when we were kids? And then I have a follow-up question too, which is, if nobody got vaccines, wouldn't everybody be afraid of widespread disease like smallpox, polio, etc.?
Okay, those are two very good questions. Stay on the road, Jim. Okay, don't wreck or anything. We'll pick up on both sides of that. Number one, you're so right about in our day, and I didn't know you were signing up for Medicare just yet, Jim.
I know.
Okay, I feel bad for you, buddy, but okay.
It's actually cheaper.
I know. You always look at things from its economic perspective. You're so good at that. But no, the numbers with respect to the incidence of autism have risen in this exponential way. It used to be one. I'm going to be wrong about this, but the point I'm going to make is still going to be makeable. In 1970 now, you and I weren't born in the 70s. We go back to the 40s, my friend. But in the 70s, the incidence of autism was 1 in every 250,000. Okay, 1 in 250,000. Hey, in 25 years since then, exponentially this has grown now to be 1 in 110. So why such a change if vaccines are to be responsible? Well, the number of vaccines that we have to have in our kids today for them to go to school is 68 total vaccines. In the day that you and I got them, it was 24. The sheer amount of viruses, I don't believe the mercury does have anything to do with it. I think my folks here were wrong, although admittedly, who in the heck wants to get mercury in anything? But it was not the insult that provoked the incidence of vaccines. It just wasn't. It isn't. And we have to own up. Science has taught us it's not there. But this incidence is going along very well with the frequency, the amount, and the doubling. We get vaccines 3 at a time. We even have people are thinking, I call it a doobie vaccine, where they're going to get like all 68 of them at once, and parents are actually requesting it. They're crazy because it's like Russian roulette. I don't know if that's much of a scientific answer, but I tell you,
The answer to get rid of all vaccines, would not that be, just Russian roulette in itself? If you got a couple kids over here from India that have smallpox, wouldn't that sort of wipe out a large part of our population, perhaps?
well, I'll take you up on the, let's take polio. I think you and I have already had this discussion, folks. It's a family matter. It happens all the time. Just don't put up with us both. The issue of polio, there's no place on earth except for one colony in Africa where you even can get it, okay? So what do we...
I know people who've had polio. I know people in my, Stacey Smith on KDK, he had polio, and I knew kids that when I went to college that had polio.
Okay. But you can't get polio anymore. You can't get it. You got to go to Africa and go to one neighborhood in one zip code in Africa to get it.
Yeah, but the reason you can't get it is because of the vaccines, is it not?
Actually, I'll let you go away with that. Let's just say for the moment that vaccines helped us get here, okay? Even though I will tell you there's an argument that it was on its way out anyway. I'm going to let that fly for a moment. Let's say you're right. But we are here where we are, and there is no more polio. So why in the heck do you have to get 3 vaccines with each one of those vaccines has 9 different viral components? Why do you have to get them if you can't get polio anymore? I just put that on the list for saying that's absurdity. We don't need the vaccine for that particular disease. And then there are the M of the MMR, the measles. This seems to be the one that has really got the focus because the M of MMR is the only vaccine that has 2 things to it that make it scientifically unique. Number one, the measles component of MMR is a live vaccine. No other vaccine that we take is alive. It is attenuated, but it's dead, okay? This MMR, the M part, is alive. And the second part of that vaccine, which makes it scientifically unique, is that it is an RNA vaccine. We'll keep it simple in saying that the DNA viruses don't need anybody other than themselves to replicate, but the RNA viruses have to get your DNA to replicate, and they can do a fine job in commandeering your own body's RNA, and that's why they're so dangerous. I believe scientifically I'm correct in saying that's the 2 unique things about it.
When did they start giving measles vaccines?
In the 1970s. By the way, you had measles, didn't you, Jim? Didn't you? Of course you did.
I think I did.
Oh, yeah, you did. Did you none the worse aware for it, Jim? I know there's an incidence of kids that get severely ill with measles. I even know there's a group of children who succumb to it, okay? But you can't justify holding down and jabbing incessantly kids under the guise of, I'm here to help you. If you're bringing a dagger that's filthy, dirty, and all sorts of disease spill off of it, it can't be justified. This vaccine issue has to be cleared up, and it is not.
So
Thank you.
People our vintage generally did not get a measles vaccine.
Oh, we did not get it. There was no measles vaccine for you and I, buddy. There was no MMR until the 1970s. We had measles, the mumps, just like every other kid our age had them. And
I know I didn't have mumps.
Oh, you did?
I had measles,
Well, then you better stay clear of any. We can't find anybody with mumps anymore. I
had chicken pox. I remember that.
I know, and I actually put an APB out. I quit it a number of years ago. When the kids were, I think they were like 4 and 5. I put an APB out over my show saying, if anybody knows anybody who has the mumps, would you please call me? I want to bring my kids over to play with your kids. Because I wanted them to get the naturally conferred immunity of having the mumps naturally. Why? Because there's a problem with mumps in males who might happen to get that disease post-puberty because there's a high incidence of sterility there. Well, nobody called because nobody got the mumps anymore. Okay, so I was never able to confer my children with that immunity based on a natural exposure. But be that as it may, we are where we are. The study would be simple, Jim. Would you agree that the study I proposed would be so easy to perform, and yet I contend you're never going to see it done.
Well, I think, let me just say this. I think that with the number of people here in even western Pennsylvania, probably if you got 10 big school districts to isolate the people who've had vaccines and those who have not had vaccines, that would be maybe not a clinically significant study, but it would be enough to prompt some other giant study. I mean,
yeah,
it's just logical to me.
But the monies aren't going to come from government. They're not going to come. It wouldn't take all that much. It really wouldn't.
You would think that the people in Autism Speak, the physicians there, would commission that study. It couldn't be that expensive. The data's up there in each school district.
Personal private rights of non-disclosure, you're going to stick the issue. You'll just find it won't get done. Jim, tell you what, thanks for the call. That red light flashing in front of you is an ambulance. Go ahead and chase it.
I'd like to... You're funny guy. Bye.
Bye. My brother-in-law, the ambulance chaser. Okay. I hear another knock on the door. Come on the store. Hello, welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Hi, good morning, Dr. Courtney.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, how about yourself?
Great on this Friday. I'm never bad on a Friday. How about you?
That's right. Fridays are good.
Yeah.
I just have a couple comments. I'm the mother of an autistic child who I believe was vaccine injured. And my comments to you are the study that you're referring to will never happen because they'll lose a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
A lot of money, and there'll be a lot of questions. That will never happen. And the reason that they've done what they've done to Dr. Wakefield is simply because he was on to something.
You better believe he was. He was such a threat that he had to be destroyed.
Right. I mean, those vaccines at 18 months, my daughter was fine. She got a total of 7 vaccines, not injections, but vaccines total. And she was never the same again after that. Never the same again. It completely took her entire personality away and turned her into another child. Now our whole lives are just trying to reverse the damage that has been done.
Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling. We're at the bongo moments now. Call me again. I'd really love to talk to you at greater length about this, okay? All right, folks, there you have it. Great show. Thank you for your participation. Have a wonderful weekend. Pro Bowl this Sunday. Super Bowl next. Until Monday morning, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.
AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
KHB reminds you, children are naturally curious, so follow their lead. When you talk to your child, you build vocabulary. Learning starts before school does. For more tips, go to bornlearning.org.
Do you have stress in your life? We all do. From the time we get up in the morning, drive through traffic,